So it's that time where we gotta, it's the last week of the election, isn't it? So we gotta really think about who we want, really. Who we're gonna vote for. Adding up the pros and cons. We're talking this week about the general election here on Around the World Today. By podcasts by Real Terrio.
Podcasts brought to you by Real Terrio Radio. Around the World Today here on Real Terrio Radio.
Hello and welcome to Around the World Today, here on podcasts by Real Terrio Radio, and it's me, Terry D. And so we're in a general election on Thursday. If you're in the UK, you've got to go and vote. It's too late to register to vote. I really do hope you have, because we need to change. So this campaign's been a bit weird, hasn't it? I think I've got only from 3 parties mail, and from 2 of them I've had more than once. There are another list of parties, even the Conservative Party, who haven't sent me anything. I have no literature from the Conservative Party, from the Liberal Democrats. Do you know what I mean? The only parties that have sent me stuff are Plaid Cymru, Labour, and even the Brexit crappy party. I've got to admit, I did use their leaflet to clean some dog poop off my garden steps, but what can you do, hey? Are they still the Brexit Party? Because yesterday an announcement came out saying that they're going to change their name. So, do let me know. But whatever they were, it had a lovely picture of Nigel Farage on there, and all I'm going to say is Nigel Farage's head did clean the dog poo. But, okay. There's been a story that I want to talk about. What this general election seems to be one of the main lines of this general election, and this is that sorry, I've just read another story. A story came out over the weekend about a boy, 4 years old, in a hospital, sick. His picture was taken, and the picture went into the Daily Mirror and Panorama, and there's been complaints about the NHS, but this little boy was on the floor in Leeds General Infirmary. They asked Boris to see the picture, and we're now going to play you Boris Johnson's response.
What was your reaction when you saw that shocking picture of Jack, the 4-year-old, on the floor of a hospital?
I have every possible sympathy with families and patients.
How did you feel when you saw the photo, Prime Minister?
Have a good experience in the NHS, and what we wanted to do, and though I think most people do, the NHS on the whole does a fantastic job, and we back them and we support them. But we
have you seen the photo, Prime Minister? Have you seen the photo?
I've been told about it by the BBC. We need to be making investments.
This is the photo.
We need to be making investments now. and that's why we're putting £34 billion.
This is a 4-year-old boy, Prime Minister, suspected of pneumonia, forced to lie on the floor on a pile of coats.
I understand. And obviously we have every possible sympathy for everybody who has a bad experience in the NHS. And that's why we're putting the record
number
investment into the NHS now. But we cannot get on and make those investments. We cannot get on and turn this country around, put in 20,000 more police, upgrading 20 hospitals, 40 new hospitals.
I'm talking about this boy, Prime Minister. How do you feel looking at that photo?
Of course. And let me tell you that I haven't had a chance to reflect.
Why don't you look at it now, Prime Minister?
I'll study
Look at it now. This is Jack.
if you don't mind, I'll give you an interview now. What we are doing is we are taking this country forward, and we are investing in the NHS. And what would be the worst thing possible would be to have a government that is mired in more deadlock, more disarray, and unable to move forward. So I have every sympathy with families.
You refuse to look at the photo. You've taken my phone, put it in your pocket, Prime Minister. His mother says the NHS is in crisis. What's your response to that?
I'm sorry. It's a terrible, terrible photo, and I apologise obviously to the families and all those who have terrible experiences in the NHS. But what we are doing is supporting the NHS, and on the whole, I think patients in the NHS have a much better experience than this poor kid has had. That's why we are making huge investments into the NHS, and we can only do it if we get Parliament going, if we unblock the current deadlock, and we move forward. I'm sorry to have taken your phone. There you go. Sorry.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What was your reaction?
So Boris Johnson first didn't want to see the picture of the boy on the floor with coats, still getting treatment by our overworked, understaffed, undervalued health workers. You know, nurses and doctors were still treating this little boy. It's not their fault. Their hands are tied by what the government has done to them. But this little boy, Boris Johnson refused to look at it, took the reporter's phone and put it in his pocket, and wanted to carry on with an interview. I'm sorry. In what realms is it right first to take someone's phone and put it in your pocket? It's not theft. But though when questioned, he did give it back. The Health Secretary has apologised, according to this. The interview took place in Grimsby, and the reporter's name is from ITV, and his name's Joe Pike. And he tweeted about his interview, which took place in Grimsby. He asked the Prime Minister about the photo of Jack on his phone several times. Mr. Johnson said he had not seen the picture, but refused to look at it while Mr. Pike questioned him. Eventually, he took Pike's phone and put it in his pocket, saying, "If you don't mind, I'll give you the interview. I'll give you an interview now." In which realms is it right for someone to do that who can't show emotion? That's a narcissistic behaviour trend. He can't show the simple sign of emotion. But then when they actually do, you know, when they get into power, narcissists never relinquish power. Hitler was a narcissist. Stalin was a narcissist. You know, there are other people, Mussolini. Once they have power, Franco, once they have power, they never relinquish power. He's just blumbering on. I love it when people say that he's the Prime Minister, But, you know, other people are organising, like, the sell-off of the NHS. But at the end of the day, right, the buck stops with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the head of the civil service. Okay, the de facto head of the civil service. The First Minister of this country. Hence why it's called Prime Minister. First Lord of the Treasury. You know, the buck stops with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can get involved in anything. The Prime Minister can sack civil servants and can sack, you know, members of the government. It's quite farcical to believe that people are saying that he's being controlled when actually the Prime Minister knows what he's doing for a while. Because the Prime Minister isn't an idiot. Voting for Boris Johnson, I believe, what's quite farcical that this competition is between Boris Johnson, Jeremy Corbyn, and some person who's only been leader of the Liberal Democrats like 2 weeks before this election. And the Liberal Democrats hoping that they're going to become what is it called? Hoping to become Prime Minister, but actually she had no chances of that. All of the data shows that she didn't. Yes, I don't agree with polling data. It can't really be right. Do you know what I mean? You only ask 1,000 people. Asking 1,000, what is it, on the last poll that I saw of the debates, they asked 1,648 people. Now, considering the population of the UK is more than that, in a very big number, and that unless you ask every single person how you voted, like you take an election, before the election, you're not really going to know how people are going to vote, because people change their mind. Human beings change their minds. Things happen. That's why the last week of the election is the most important week of them all. Because up until now, up until when you go and put your vote in that box, anything will happen. Anything could happen. You know, so that's why you need to stay undecided when it comes to voting. In my opinion, being undecided is much better right up until when you're walking into that box. You should also, in my opinion, look at what every party is saying. You need to vote with your conscience, and don't leave a topic like Brexit, you know, derail what you're going to do, because Brexit, how many of us have been told that the cuts have happened and we can't reverse the cuts until after Brexit? We can't do this until after Brexit. We can't do that. We're not doing this because of Brexit. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, Brexit isn't going to be done for another 10 years. Come on, like, the only country to leave the EEC, okay, it took them 5 years to leave that, and it took them a further 5 years to negotiate a trade deal. So that's 10 years. And this was before the political entity of the European Union. This is the precursor of the European Union. So if it took them 10 years to leave, how long is it going to take us in real terms until we're on a proper relationship with the EU again? Are we crazy when we think, and we keep hearing about the fact that, the EU are being unfair, but you need to look at it this way. There are 27 individual economies within the European Union. That's 27 different countries. that we need to talk to, that we need trade. We are in the European Union as one country, so the United Kingdom, even though there are 4 countries within the United Kingdom, but for foreign relations we are one. Now, 27 against 1. So the 27 economies against 1 economy. Now, them losing, like, trade from us is okay. Because, you know, they only have to go and find trade for 1 in each of the countries. Us losing trade from 27 countries simultaneously does a lot more damage to our economy. It's quite simple. The people who keep saying the 52 won, the 48 lost, think about it this way. 27 countries fought and won. Who do you think's going to come out bigger or better? It's a bit like California wanting to leave the United States. You know, 50 against 1. Do you know what I mean? If you don't get political unions, please, you know, do some math, do some reading. If you voted for Brexit, okay, and now you're having second thoughts, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? We're 3 years on since the referendum. 3.5 years on, actually, and we're nowhere close to leaving. And basically, it's laughable to just think that the only thing people care about is Brexit. It really is laughable, especially in a time when you have 4-year-old toddlers on the floor of a hospital getting treatment. You know, this happened in Victorian times. It happened before Victorian times. It happened in, you know, when you've got the rise of homelessness. You have people now walking around the streets in a political party's uniform. Would someone please explain to me and the rest of the world when this country decided that we're going to go back to 1936? Well, before 1936. All we need now is the national strike. But it's quite... Is everyone just confused about this election? Because I'm getting there. I started off, well, we need an election, and what's quite funny is the country seems to be working much more efficiently without Parliament. I just find this one to be quite funny. You know, that Parliament, in their infinite wisdom, haven't, you know, by all accounts, by all accounts, are, you know, meant to be the bastion of politics, but the country actually works better with appointees in government rather than elected representatives. Yeah, the Conservatives are running things at the moment, but they're not allowed to do anything party political, are they? So therefore, they really can't change anything. They have to do what's good. Ooh. Now, we are looking forward to a Channel 4 documentary about racism in the Brexit Party in Grimsby. Sorry, Hartlepool. Isn't that near Grimsby? I do apologise if you are from Grimsby. My geography isn't that good. The hilarious bit about it is when it comes to Corbyn, people don't trust him. Alright, sorry, but do you really think if someone's going to sell your country out, they're going to announce that they're doing it? You know, because every time Corbyn's talked to Hamas, the IRA, well actually it was Sinn Féin, not the IRA, but, you know, to Sinn Féin, what is a political party, and if I remember correctly, Sinn Féin are in some kind of deal with the Labour Party that was done under Tony Blair. So, yeah. Basically, do you really think if, you know, he was doing these things, and, like, by all accounts, selling our country out, why would he be open and honest and talk to the press about it as he's doing it? Sorry, but I go back to the Cambridge Five. We didn't see a relationship, did we, between the Soviet Union and Guy Philby? Or the one who worked, and I believe it was Guy Philby who worked in Buckingham Palace. Do you know what I mean? We didn't see you know, relationships between these 5 people and the Soviet Union. They never talked about the Soviet Union, but they saw our country out. Come on, people, use your bloody heads. It's not hard to see. And then we've got the whole anti-Semitism crap. Well, basically, and I said the word crap, because I do think, yes, there is anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, yes, there is Islamophobia within the Conservative Party, and there's also anti-Semitism within the Conservative Party and Islamophobia within the Labour Party. You know, it's not clear against one party, but I kind of believe that we get told something by the mainline media because they know how stupid and how unpolitically educated people are. And I've said this before, it needs to go back to political education. People need to be taught how to read a manifesto. I'm sorry, but in 2019 I can't believe I'm saying this. 101 years since the women have been allowed to vote. And we're now talking about a whole class of people that are either uneducated to be able to vote, or just shouldn't have the vote. Because they're that, you know, they'll rather play on nationalistic terms over put national interests, their own interests, I should say, before that of the country. Are people in the world that stupid that they don't actually get, you know, not even in the world of the country? So we keep hearing about things like freebies. The only thing is, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So everything promised by the Labour Party, by the Conservative Party, has to be paid for. Now, who's paying for it? Well, with the Labour Party, it's big business. Do you know what I mean? It's, instead of tax cuts, they're going to tax them. With the Conservative Party, it's us. And the big business gets the tax cut. And all of the rich people get tax cuts. Well, the middle earners, the lowest, poorest people all get cuts to their lives. May I remind you, universal credit was meant to be a very good idea, you know, to merge legacy benefits all as one, implement them quicker. It also gets rid of teams of people, you know, like you didn't need vast entities administering 5 different benefits in 5 different offices. You could have one set of team, one set of rules, and it just took away a lot of stuff. Now, the only problem with this is there was a whole social side of universal credit that was never rolled out because of austerity. The next thing is that you hear about austerity. Do you remember this lie, austerity? I remember it like yesterday. We were told that the Labour Party were the ones that caused, the financial crash. But actually, it wasn't. It's been proved that it was financial organisations within America and mortgages that caused this. And it started in the United States, in their economy. Now, am I the only one thinking that this Prime Minister must be batshot crazy? If in 2000, it's not even a decade ago, it was 2009, it was happening right now. The banks were going bust 10 years ago. Now, 10 years on, we're now advocating more alignment with America and their economy than the EU and their economy. Now, the bit I don't get is, surely if they caused us a financial crash 10 years ago, and with this crazy ass president in, do you really think they're going to help us? They're on their way to a recession. The man even said he doesn't care if there's a recession with his trade war with China. Are we that backtrack crazy as a country that we can't see aligning our economy with America doesn't help us? Just because Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg and any other Conservatives, James Cleverly, all probably have interest in America. Boris Johnson at the end of the day was born in America. No matter why, no wonder why he can go and lie to the Queen. But hey, what to do? Today, the Labour Party has come out and said they want to deliver a budget to end austerity in the first 100 days. I really just don't know what to make. This whole election just seems to be going out of control, and this is part of a daily podcast that we're going to be doing up until the election day, so up until Wednesday. So thank you for tuning in, and we will speak again tomorrow. Goodbye, and check out our Facebook, www.facebook.com/RealTerrio, or Twitter @RealTerrio. You can email us podcast @realterrio.com. No, it's not. It's podcast@realterrio.co.uk. And I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Podcasts brought to you by Real Terrio Radio. Around the world today here on Real Terrio Radio.